Welcome to Outside with Lisa. I'm Lisa, and I'm outside at Atlantic Ridge State Park. On Wednesday, there was a shooting at a Minnesota Catholic school during Mass. 17 people were injured, 2 children were killed. The shooter was a 23-year-old former student named Robin Westman, who was a trans woman who used to go there. Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis was the 44th victim of school shootings in 2025. Over 17 people have been killed in school shootings this year. This has been over 400 school shootings since we started tracking that as a metric after Columbine in 1999. Over 200 people have died since then. Robin Westman is the second school shooter to be out as trans since 2019. So the argument that the problem here is trans people, that some of these shooters happen to be trans, and that the problem isn't guns, would be laughable if it wasn't so disgusting. But a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. People who have been suspected of being undocumented immigrants are being abducted in LA, New York, and DC. They're getting taken off the streets, whether they have papers or not, whether they're citizens or not, whether they're criminals or not. According to Pew Research, the vast majority of them are not criminals. Over 70% of them are not criminals or have any criminal background. There was a woman who couldn't get off the plane with her family in Minnesota because she is an immigrant. She has a green card, and 10 years ago, she got arrested for possession of marijuana. Door Dashers are just being taken off their mopeds in DC. People have been taken from their job sites, from immigration hearings, from 7-Elevens, from their homes. Trump has nationalized the National Guards of both California and DC. The nationalization of the California National Guard has lapsed. He only had a limited period to call them up without approval from Gavin Newsom, which he obviously did not get. So they've been released. They're freer in California than they have been. LA has been standing up to these really hard. There have been folklorico dancers at protests. White women have been glitter bombing and just generally stalking ICE agents to protect their community, to protect their neighbors. But a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Are we free if we can be abducted for being accused of being immigrants, if we can be told that our ID cards just aren't valid anymore? Are we secure when we can't send our kids to school without worrying about them being shot? I don't think that's what we are right now. I don't think we've ever been serious about the Second Amendment. The people who are very serious about it, the people who get really excited about it, who have the arms that we want to keep and bear, the people most excited about gun rights aren't keeping their communities safe. They aren't preventing masked, unidentified agents from abducting their neighbors. Maybe they don't see them as their neighbors. And the people who do care about this, who don't want people to be abducted and just sent away to camps in El Salvador or the Everglades or El Paso or wherever they're putting the next one, those folks don't have guns. People like me don't have guns. We don't think we should shoot people. We don't believe in shooting people. So I think maybe this is something we need to agree we're not actually using. We're not using the Second Amendment for any real purpose. We're using it for some people to hold on to their toys at the expense of children's lives. So that's where we are today. I'm not saying we need to start shooting people. I don't think we should. I think anyone abducting people off the streets should be arrested and put in jail. If we have jails for any purpose, it's for people who abduct our friends and neighbors. So what are we doing with the Second Amendment? Doesn't seem like anything the framers intended. In unrelated, good and cute news of things that are worth celebrating, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged, and some people think it's ridiculous to be upset about a billionaire getting engaged to a millionaire. I think we're allowed to have cute things. The world is really bleak right now, and let's have diamonds presented to us in like a field of roses. I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. We don't have kings in this country, but let's have a royal wedding. We deserve a little treat in the news just for once. So unrelated to anything else, this is just the nature of being alive, of existing in 2025, I guess, is everything is discordant, and we have immense tragedy coupled next to cute romantic joy, coupled next to Marvel movies. I finally got to see Thunderbolts the night before, and I think I might just be really spoiled from Superman. It was fine. It was a cute little discussion on depression. That was a nice visual metaphor for depression. It wasn't about who we are as a nation or what we need right now collectively. I think the movie would have worked a lot better if it was closer to Endgame and the in-universe feeling of grief was a lot realer, more salient. It was fine. Let's have more, Joseph Campbell-esque visions of heroes that, like, reflect who we are as a society. I'm not saying depression's not part of it, but, like, yeah, that's one facet. Give me something more. Tell me something else. But going back to, the actual problems that face our country and how we solve them. The reason I've been so big on precinct organizing as like the one big step that we can do to save our country is that if we get a bunch of people together in our neighborhoods who agree that we shouldn't be okay with killing children, who agree that we shouldn't be okay with abducting, just disappearing our friends and neighbors, our community members. If we get a bunch of us together and we tell our state representatives that we want to get guns off the streets, and not just off the streets, but out of people's homes where depressed 23-year-olds or curious toddlers can find them and use them for whatever ills, then we can actually get them off the streets. And I know this because I helped work on passing a bunch of gun safety legislation in Colorado in 2013. Democrats had majorities in the state house and state senate in 2013. Got another bridge, and that means I have to take it. And the shooting in Aurora had just happened, so we had an opportunity to crack down on the guns. We limited the limit on a high capacity magazine. I think we ended up on 10 rounds in a magazine. We got guns off of college campuses. I think we got them out of the hands of domestic abusers. I think like one of our gun bills that year ended up not passing. But that legislation saved some lives, and it was hard to pass, and a bunch of us got death threats. I had the Colorado State Troopers number saved in my phone for a long time because we got kind of a threat against the representative I was working for. And so we had to have the state trooper come with us to like some town halls and stuff. You know, it wasn't fun, but we got the laws passed and we were able to save some people. So it's worth it. And that means it's doable. So we can get this done at the state level. We can get this done at the federal level. We can call our representatives in Congress. We can call our congressmen and senators and tell them we want ICE out of our communities, that we don't want them abducting our friends and neighbors. Senator Padilla tried really hard to advocate for his community in California, and he was tackled to the ground by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's bodyguards. This is going to be more effective coming from red state representatives. And listen, if we can't get them to like pass laws that we like, maybe we can shame them into running out of Congress. So maybe we can elect somebody who does think that our friends and neighbors shouldn't be disappeared into foreign gulags. That's what happened with Joni Ernst. Joni, we all die someday Ernst, is no longer running for re-election in Iowa. Maybe we get to fill that seat with a Democrat. Maybe we'll get to have a Congress that can actually stand up to Trump. That was a spider web that I walked into. I know there's a lot of pessimism right now about, you know, whether or not we'll actually have elections in 2026 or 2028. I get that. It makes sense. Everything seems pretty bad. But I will say they probably wouldn't be spending so long trying to redistrict all these maps if they weren't pretending on having elections of any kind. Oh, I saw the spider web that time, and it got me anyway. So this is doable, but we can't change laws or replace Congress by ourselves. We can't do it if we're all just one person sitting alone in our houses, posting snarky stuff on the internet. We have to do it together. We need big numbers to stand up in November of 2026 and in 2028. We need to be building these networks of people who are empowered to stand up right now. So that's what I have for you today. I'm Lisa. I'm outside, and let's go touch some grass.